You are listening to Mind Over Me, the mental wellness podcast with me, Scott Carter. I am a licensed therapist and someone who is very mindful and aware of the decline in our collective mental health. I created this podcast so that we could have more direct and honest conversations about difficult topics and difficult issues. It's my goal to have honest but direct conversations that we need to have that are necessary. It's also my goal to give my listeners the information that they need in order to find their own mental health and mental wellness. This is where you will find the information that you need to be your own healer. And of course, all of this is based on years of clinical experience and expertise. Thank you for being here. Let's dive right in. It must be Sunday evening because I'm here at my computer recording a podcast. Welcome back. This is Mind Over Me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. This topic tonight, I feel like, is a mile wide and a mile deep. I file this under the category of things you're likely not going to hear your therapist talk about. But I am. Here we are. This episode is all about freeing ourselves from the negative feedback loop or the prison of wanting to be liked, needing the approval of others, etc., etc., etc. You're not going to hear this in mental health. You're not going to hear this from a therapist, but again, you're going to hear it from this one. Okay. This therapist is going to tell you that in order to have good mental health, you need to approve of yourself more than you need approval from others. And that your need for approval from others is going to permanently inhibit, block, and cripple your ability to ever find true happiness, true satisfaction, contentment, peace, and good mental health. Try to remember that your life will always be a work in progress, okay? There's never a completion. There's never an arrival, but the reward is in the journey. When you learn to love the journey, you get so many rewards along the way, and you keep your head down, and you stay working at it, and you dedicate yourself to it, and before you know it, you're like miles away from where you once were, and it's not so bad anymore. And you have optimism, and who knows, right? So many things can change. That's just really kind of how it goes, right? People tend to think about mental health in regards to, like, is it an illness like the flu? It's not, okay? I tend to think of mental health a lot of times, depending on the issue, a lot of times similar to fitness or mental fitness. It just depends on the mental health issue. It depends on the mental illness. And in terms of needing approval from other people, this isn't a big, important topic because I just almost kind of feel like our modern culture, if you're new here, like, my general feeling about mental health is that if you want to be mentally healthy, if you want to be happier, healthier, and just have good mental health, stop and notice and look and see what everybody else is doing. And don't do that. Maybe do some of the opposite, not necessarily, because sometimes the opposite of crazy is still crazy. But if you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get what everybody else is getting. Have the courage and the wherewith to be like, I don't want that. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to be different. That might feel really, really scary. But in this episode, again, we're going to talk about, I'm going to touch on people pleasing. I'm going to talk about how this is a zero-sum game, how this works against you. It's a negative feedback loop. And if you're trying to use other people as a vehicle to have a good life or be happy or be comfortable in your own skin, you will never get there. You will never arrive. So you got to peel yourself away from the need to have approval from others, get the caring what they think, all of that stuff. So right now, you may want to build some of your insight. Check in with yourself. Ask yourself the question, where am I on this? Right? Like, without personal awareness, without your individual awareness, right? It's really quite impossible to change. If you don't recognize the need to change, you're just not gonna. So this is a good opportunity for you to check in with yourself and ask yourself the important question, how is my relationship with other people? Okay. And as usual, at the end of this episode, we're going to get into some shadow work journal prompts. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Before I dive into this topic, because there's just a lot here. I've made a lot of notes. I'll probably follow some of them. I probably won't follow others. Again, I feel like this topic is a mile wide and a mile deep. From time to time, I like to share what I'm personally working on. And the reason being is because I think it's important for therapists to always be doing your own work. You might be shocked, then again, you might not, at how many therapists don't work on themselves. How many therapists remain mentally unwell and totally unhealthy and completely dysfunctional, and they don't see a need to work on themselves or to get it figured out. Or in their minds, it's good enough to go to a therapist that is just like, oh, yep, how does that make you feel? Like they just validate them and ask them how that makes them feel. See you next week. Sorry, we're out of time. So sometimes I just like to share where I'm at, what I'm working on, and what's going on with me. Partially because, like, there's just I want to be able to share. I want to be able to share what I'm working on. That's all. Like, so 2026 for me has really kind of started off with a little bit of a bang. When I reflected on my 2025, I felt very displeased. I was like, I do not want another 2025. 25 was just a pretty not great year. It wasn't a horrible year. I've definitely had worse. I've had better too. Definitely had better. But this year I am determined to just do some things drastically different. I've mentioned many times in the past that my story right now is about discipline, right? Showing up every day, being disciplined, and it's just how you get places. That's how you get somewhere. I currently have two alternative business ideas in mind, and I have been working on them. One of them I've been working on for a while. There's a lot involved with it. I need my ducks in a row. There's just a lot involved. I'm just pitching a whole series of services, and I need my ducks in a row. I just need things to be lined up so that I can help people get issues sorted out in a very structured way. So I got to get things worked on and set up that way. The other business idea hit me in the last couple weeks, and it was more of a passion project, and still kind of is a passion project. I'm not even going to necessarily mention it here, but again, it's like I'm kind of spreading myself a little too thin. I'm wanting to start two businesses. I'm still doing this podcast. I'm still running a business. I'm still doing therapy. It's just a lot. But that's okay because, like, I actually love, in many regards, I love what I do. I love what I do, and I'm good at it, and I enjoy being good at it. But the other thing, and I'll just talk about this for a second, that is making a huge difference for me right now, a massive difference, and I'm just feeling really super duper proud of myself. I've decided to take some drastic action and get control again of my health. For years, my health was in the crapper, and I had a lot of fatigue. I lacked energy. I lacked motivation. And it was just an uphill climb. And I've finally kind of gotten over a hump. And so in 2026, I'm almost exactly 3 weeks into a brand new strict diet. It's a diet, but it is a very strict diet. So far, I feel like I have done a really, really good job. The first almost 3 weeks have been pretty smooth sailing. Actually, it's a strict diet, and I'm really proud of myself because I've done really well with it so far. The truth is, I did this diet years ago, and it was highly successful then. But again, it is strict and it is hard. And quite frankly, my number one vice over the years has been food. I'm a comfort eater. I always have been. With this diet too, you got to be very, very, very diligent about what you eat, because it can be really easy to do it in an unhealthy way. And so I'm being really mindful to not do it in an unhealthy way. So my diet is a ketogenic diet, and I'm combining it with intermittent fasting. So it's a very, very restricted diet of when I can eat and what I can eat. And within the first 2 weeks, I feel incredible. I feel so much better. The ketogenic diet is the type of diet where it's like, it's a little bit of a biohack. If you can pull it off, your energy is going to go through the roof. And that's what I've been experiencing, but just my energy has improved drastically. And the amount of energy I have, the better I just feel amazing. The mental clarity is better. I feel sharp and focused, but I'm also really emotional. My emotions are just like spewing out of me, like exploding out of me. And so it's like, I've been really emotional, and it's like, whoa, I just feel like emotions are coming out of me with like a fire hose. Anyways, I just wanted to celebrate that victory because it is a very difficult, strict diet, and so far I have really, really done very well with it. So I'm super proud of myself, and I'm getting results. My clothes fit better already, and I just feel amazing. So that's kind of what's going on with me. So I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I'm motivated. I'm working hard. So off we go. Okay, I'm going to kick this topic off with a couple of quotes. I'm a sucker for good quotes, okay? I think they're both good, okay? I was, right before I came to record this episode, I was just kind of going through X and posting and reposting. But here it goes. Your time is limited. Satisfy your soul, not society. Life is too short to please people and try to get their approval, guys. Okay, next quote. I like this one even better. It looks like it's on somebody's t-shirt. Stop trying to be liked by everybody. You don't even like everybody. So true. So true. Ask yourself right now, if you've determined that yes, you're concerned about what people think of you, you're concerned about other people's approval. Why? Ask yourself why. What is it that you think that is going to accomplish? There's usually a false assumption here. That false assumption is, if other people like me, okay, it's going to fill this hole in me. There's an emptiness inside of me, or a void that's inside of me. And if everybody likes me, that void will fill. That emptiness will fill up. And so, like, if you have this emptiness inside you, okay, and you're seeking approval because you want that filled, other people, here's the truth, okay? Spoiler alert, other people cannot fill it. It cannot be done. Now, approval from others, it can feel nice for a short time, but it's a temporary hit, like a drug. But it does not solve the bigger problem. The problem, of course, being that emotionally you feel disconnected and you feel empty inside, okay? There's only one person that can really fix that problem. Yeah, you guessed right. That person would be you. It's the person looking back at you in the mirror. You are the only person who can fix that. You truly are the true hero in your story, whether you realize it or not. Sometimes mental health is about, or having good mental health is about unlearning things, okay? And one of the best ways to unlearn things is by challenging our belief systems, our paradigm structures. This is one of the reasons why I love self-reflective time. I encourage people to develop like a solitude practice where you just sit down and like freaking question everything. Like your brain, your mind, it lies to you all the time. Your head is full of crap. It's full of garbage. You have false beliefs. You have false paradigm structures. I did a whole episode on having junk in your head. You can go back and listen to it if you haven't listened to it already. And this is just one of those things, man. One of the pieces of junk that gets into your head that seems very, very important and terribly real is that you need to be liked by others. Okay, that is a false premise. And I personally believe that society, culture, this really screw it up, super lost. Society and culture, let's be honest, it's going down like the Titanic. Why would you want to do what everybody else is doing? Anyways, this culture promotes this idea that it's terribly, terribly important that other people approve of you or give you approval or approve of your actions or your choices or your life in general. I personally believe that one of the reasons why this belief has been, indoctrinated, like branded into our brains, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel like that's a little bit part of materialism and consumerism and aggressive marketing, because it's like, oh, well, if people see you wearing this piece of clothing or driving this car, they're going to think you're important and cool. And that's terribly important for people to think those things about you. But, of course, it all can also come from our parents. Let's not downplay that. Let's not downplay the role that our parents have in this either way. Maybe you have great parents who are just like, kid, who cares? Ignore them. They don't matter, right? Or maybe you have a parent that's like, what will the neighbors think, right? That type of parent. It's like when you live day in and day out with those messages from your parents, like it's going to just get seared. Those neural pathways are just going to carve right through your brain and always live there. So even at a young age, right, you get caught in this trap, you get caught in this loop where you need to be liked and approved of by other people. So not only does it not solve the problem, right? Not only does it fill that void or fill that emptiness in you, actually you're going to dig that hole even deeper. Let's put it this way, okay? Let's say that your mind or your soul needs certain nourishment, okay? Right? Like in order to be nourished, right, you need to eat and consume certain things, right? For your body, right? Same with your mind. You could even call it your soul if you're the spiritual type like me. You can call it your soul. But I'll just say mind just to keep it, whatever. Your mind also needs that nourishment, okay? So if your body needs nourishment, you probably shouldn't eat Twinkies and drink Mountain Dew, right? There's no nutritional value in that stuff, guys. Okay, it's just empty calories. Your body's going to suffer if you only eat that, right? Okay, in terms of your mind being nourished, what it needs is for you to nourish yourself. You need to give yourself that pat on the back. You need to look at yourself and give you that kindness, that approval. Be proud of yourself, giving yourself credit, taking your own little victory laps, practicing self-compassion, all of that stuff, right? You need to learn to nourish your own soul. It's like sitting down with a good home-cooked hearty meal that's full of nutrition and vegetables, and it's just good for you, right? If you're trying to get approval from others, that's basically like eating Twinkies and drinking Mountain Dew. Just because your stomach is full doesn't mean like you're just going to be that much hungrier later. You're going to be working from that much of a deficit later. So when you're seeking approval from others, all it does is just increase your deficit, right? And you have to remember that. You got to try to keep that in mind. Like, this isn't going to work. This doesn't work. I have to do something different, right? When the only approval that you get or seek is from other people, it's just going to hollow you out more and more and more and more. Like good mental health often and happiness and satisfaction, contentment, it comes from becoming a person with actual substance. Okay, there's a way to become a person that has true substance, like real substance to them. Okay, the more you're seeking that approval from others, the more hollowed out you're going to be. It's almost like every time you seek approval, you're giving a part of yourself away. And I think a lot of those behaviors are motivated by the hope and the desire that other people will reciprocate. That if we take what little is left of me and give it to you, that you'll give it right back. And often people don't, right? If they're as empty and hollow as you, it's like you've taken what little you have and given it to them and it disappears forever. It's like a black hole. It's just gone. They've consumed it. It's just like they've just consumed it and used it up, and now it's gone for good. And the trouble too is that here's the other trouble. Here's a major problem with wanting approval from others or caring about what other people think. That specific behavior tends to attract the wrong types of people. And if we're really honest, if you become very, very needy, because I've known a lot of people over the years, I've worked in this field for a very long time, and I've known individuals who are so empty on the inside, and they're so desperate for the approval from others that they come across as very needy and very clingy. Like, try to think of someone who's like desperate to have your approval, desperate. Like, do you ever find yourself avoiding someone because they're so needy and desperate for approval? So that type of behavior tends to repel certain types of people and tends to attract the wrong types of people. Like people pick up on this behavior very, very quickly. If they're opportunistic, that's a nice way of saying predatory. If they're predatory, and you're desperate for approval, man, you could very, very, very easily attract someone who is really has very, very not good intentions. So here's our negative feedback loop. Okay, the more you give away, the more you're gonna need. Okay, the more empty you become. Right? It's a zero-sum game. You cannot win this. It's just a negative feedback loop. The more you give away, the more you're going to need. The more needy you're going to be, right? The more you're going to end up giving away to try to get something back. Again, try to remember other people cannot fill this for you. And when you really, really super care about pleasing other people or wanting them to like you or trying to satisfy them, frankly, that's a good way to get burned. I mean, that's a really, really good way to get burned. And for any of us, myself included, who have had the unfortunate experience of wanting to be approved of, wanting to be liked, like, that is a painful road. Like, no thank you. No thank you. Like, worse than loneliness, worse than trying to love yourself is like the pain of like betrayal, of feeling like, oh, this person likes me when actually they're just maybe using you or, right, exploiting you, manipulating you to get what they want out of you. Some people are emotional vampires, man. They suck you dry. And if you're in that mode of where you feel really needy and you're really wanting the approval of others, you can very easily attract the types of people who are, right, those emotional vampires. They're just going to suck you dry. Okay, so now that we maybe have a better grasp on the problem, okay, I want to give you some useful information on how to overcome this. Because it's one thing to say, oh, this is a problem, and it's another thing, right, to help you with it. Because I feel like a lot of therapists are like, wow, that sounds really, really rough. Well, good luck. We're out of time. See you next time. So I'm going to give you some guidelines just based partially on my experience, but also some of my work as a therapist. The truth is, the road to redemption is you got to learn to like yourself. You got to approve of yourself. You got to get right with you, right? And you cannot get this from other people. Like, even just abandoning this and just realize, like, man, I am losing this game. It's not working out. And for some people, it's a very, very, very difficult moment for them to realize, like I have given and given and given and given to others and got nothing back. And they feel so betrayed and hurt and angry even. They'll feel angry, which totally fine. Like our society is really bad with certain emotions, anger, sadness, for example. Those are healthy emotions, people. I did a whole episode on sadness, by the way. Sadness is a good emotion. Sadness is a very healthy emotion. It's a very necessary emotion. Yes, it's okay to feel sad. Yes, it's okay to feel angry. Yes, they're hard. And yes, you need to do it anyways. It's so important to face your difficult emotions, learn to sit with them, and work through them. And yes, it's a painful moment to realize, like, I've been doing this for years. I've been trying to please people and get their approval and be liked by others. And all it's done is made me empty. And all it's done is gotten me burned. Yeah, that's hard. That's a very, very difficult moment. But it does no use to be like, well, now that I have this realization, I better keep doing the same thing even harder, right? You just have to get to the realization, like, this is not working, man. This is not getting me anywhere that I want or need to go. So it's time to stop. It's time to quit. You got to face the truth that you got to learn to like yourself. You need to learn to be right with yourself. When it comes to change, the first place that we always want to start is by increasing our awareness. Okay, so spend a few days. Here's a little homework assignment. Spend a few days noticing all the different ways that you might, seek approval from others, or you're doing things because you want other people to see it. Maybe certain things are performative. Maybe your social media activity is a certain way because you want people to be like, oh, hoorah, way to go you, right? That's just an example, okay? At the end of the day, You can sit with your journal and be like, in what ways did I try and seek approval today? And the more awareness that you build around things, okay, this is part of the gospel of me and good mental health. The more awareness that you have, the more awareness that you bring to the table, the better you're going to do. It's just going to, when you build your awareness, it changes your perspective. And when your perspective changes, you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. This sucks. Okay, and the next thing here on my notes, get to know yourself better. Okay, a lot of people, they just don't know themselves very well. Okay, so here's maybe a tip that can help with that. Establish and strengthen your values. Okay, now with a lot of people, they don't necessarily know what their values are. For many other people, their values are prepackaged and given to them based on the group that they have belonged to. As a side note, like group identity, like identifying with a group and adopting their values, to me is also a losing game. Your values are prepackaged and already given to you. You'll often find yourself being like, oh, I value this because they told me to. I'm going to pick on a few groups here. Atheists are always fun for me in a way. Like, they don't really bother me, but it's just terribly, terribly ironic how dogmatic they can be. It's like, you guys act like religious people. I'm just saying. Vegans are fun. Vegans are really fun. Wow, very rigid values that the group will give you. This could be political affiliations. What else? Really any group identity. See, because when the group's values shift, you are expected to conform. Okay, rather than be like, I don't know about that value, and have the group be like, oh, that's totally fine. You're still one of us. Nope. It's usually not how it goes with groups. They're like, how dare you, you monster, right? They'll turn on you very quickly if you don't conform. As a side note, too, the opposite of courage could be cowardice, but I also think that it is conformity. But conformity, I think, is a form of cowardice. But that's not necessarily what this episode is about. That's just a little aha thing that I heard recently that I thought was like, oh, yeah, that's true. Conformity just meaning like, oh, well, I'm doing this because the group told me to. Anyways, that's like a long way of saying like, okay, what are your values? So like one of my therapy exercises, like I have these value cards. They can be really, really useful in just helping people know what their values are, help them kind of create a greater sense of who they are. If you don't really have a good sense of who you are, that's okay. Not all those who wander are lost. But finding an identity and building an identity is just really going to help you too. Part of that process. Discontinue the chasing approval. Okay, discontinue those behaviors, right? It's easier to discontinue them when you're aware of them. That's why I gave you the exercise earlier. And the last thing I have written down, I filled this whole page with notes. And it also coincidentally is the last page in this legal pad, so I sort of ran out of room. So this episode is going to be limited to the amount of room that I had to write stuff on. Practice your healthy selfishness, okay? There's a good type of selfishness and there's a bad type of selfishness. I did a whole other episode on healthy selfishness. By the way, if you haven't listened to that, you may want to check it out as well to understand the difference and practice the difference, okay? And get involved with some... be selfish in a healthy, positive way. As another side note, just a thought that I just barely had. So if you've done the wanting to be liked by others or wanting approval from other people game for a long time, what you may want to do is, because a lot of people find themselves in the position where they're like, no, I'm not so sure who really cares about me and who is my true friend and who is not. Well, I'm going to tell you how to figure that out really, really freaking quick. Simply set a boundary. Set a boundary with people. If you're not sure if someone is really invested in your individual well-being or not, you're going to find out, really, really quick when you set a boundary with them. They will either this is a sign of like a true friend. They will either say, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize that was a friend foul. My bad. I absolutely will work on that for you. And of course, option B is they act like the victim. Like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. Don't you know I have the right to take advantage of you and walk all over you? And now that you're revoking that right, I'm the victim here, right? That type of thing, okay? And in that case, they'd be like, well, maybe it's time to rethink this relationship. But again, that's really hard. That's honestly really hard to do if you're not right with yourself. So a lot of my content, man, is just about getting right with yourself. Okay, let's wrap this episode up. I'm going to finish this off with some journal prompts here in a moment. If you're new here, I like to finish off every episode with some shadow work journal prompts. If you're not familiar with shadow work, it is a process of which we do our own deep inner work. Purpose of it is to rewire things at the core, break cycles, build our self-awareness, build a better relationship with ourselves. It accomplishes a lot of things. I recommend that if you're going to do my shadow work journal prompts, to set aside a separate journal or notebook to do them, and label it just as your shadow work journal, because it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you grow a lot. And of course, a quick disclaimer. I'm a therapist. I'm not your therapist. My shadow work is not for wimps. This is a high accountability exercise, but that is how we become the masters of our lives and architects of our lives. Okay, let's dive in. Okay. Shadow work journal prompt number 1. How much of my life is shaped around the need or the desire for people to like me, to notice me, or around what other people think about me? Number 2, very similar. How many of my day-to-day decisions have to do with people, with me caring what other people think? Okay, so what are your day-to-day decisions, right? Centered around whether or not people care about what you think. Number 3, why do I do this? Okay, why do I seek approval from others? What is the desired outcome? What am I hoping to get out of it? Number 4, is it working? Am I getting what I'm seeking out of it? Yes or no? It's very simple. Yes or no? Number 5, this one's very important, okay? What does my fear or anxiety tell me will happen if I stop seeking approval from others? In other words, if I think about not caring what other people think, what bad thing might come from it? Again, you're going to want to write these down in detail. Finally, number 6, if I were to stop caring what everybody thought about me tomorrow, what benefits would I get from it? How would it help me? 4, extra credit. You can share it with somebody that you trust, or maybe you think you trust them and you're not sure anymore. I was at a social group this morning, and somebody was we were talking about friendships, and some of the people were talking about some of the betrayals in their life. It's a fascinating conversation to have. And one guy who has a touch of the autism was he's like, yeah, I realized that one of my friends was just sort of using me as someone that he could kick around and make fun of. And I was like, oh, dude, ouch. Bummer, dude. That's what I'm talking about, man. People pleasing, it gets you burned. That is Burn City. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow. Check me out on X. That will be in the link description below. Go check out my website. I created a whole entire super long, very useful course on anxiety. That is also on my website. I will put the link in the description below as well. Thank you for listening. Tell your friends. Help me grow my audience. Thanks for being here. Remember, you must do hard things.